In today's Glenn Beck Morning Newsletter, which is free at glennbeck.com, you will find these stories. I'm going to touch on these, just the headlines first, and we're going to go back to them. Jim Jordan shows Amazon files federal censorship efforts to digitally burn books. Effective GOP attorney generals face politicized ethics charges. Democrats trying to strip all opponents of representation in court. Biden's DOJ continues to abuse the FACE Act. Completely unjustified. Medical Journal retracts major studies critical of the abortion pill ahead of the Supreme Court clash. Montana parents face arrest after refusing to go along with daughter's sex change. Virginia Democrats trying to pass a bill to make bipartisan election oversight a hate crime. Let me start with this. Stu, look up the definition of fascism for me, will you? People, when they hear fascist, they think concentration camps. And that usually is the way they end because you have to get rid of the political people that disagree with you, because unless you're in a free state, you can't have people who disagree with you speaking out. Okay, that's the definition. That's the first definition of freedom, is being able to speak your mind. Well, you can't do that. And it starts with intimidation. It starts with suggestion, then intimidation, and then shove and shoot. So you have to have these concentration camps, but that's not in the definition, if I'm not mistaken, of fascism, Stu.
Yeah, here, I'll give you the dictionary definition. A political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts a nation and often race above the individual. I mean, it's just so...
Say it again.
Exalts nation and often race above the individual. Gee, who's doing that right now? Tell me who is elevating race above the individual right now. Tell me with a straight face that is the right. It is insanity to believe that. It's insanity. Every single person on the left is constantly telling us that the skin color is the most important thing about you. It's constantly told to us that it's defining your entire life. Your skin color tells you whether you're oppressed or not, or whether you're a good person or you're not. And we're the ones somehow. I mean, it's so amazing that this has ever happened. But it is a philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts a nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for a centralized, autocratic government headed by a dictator, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition. I don't know which party's about to lose their candidate from being on the ballot at all. Which one is that? Suppression of opposition. Oh my gosh! You're never going to get to any of your points if you don't turn off my microphone right now.
No. I think this is fine. It is. It's incredible, and it doesn't include the biggest part of the actual mechanics of fascism, which is public-private partnerships. Businesses are allowed to be businesses. Unlike in communism, they're allowed to be private businesses unless you disagree with the state. Then they'll intimidate you and eventually just take you out. Somebody else will get your business, and you're gone. Public-private partnership. Okay. Now, I want to drill into your head. Whatever they say that we're doing, they're doing. Okay, good example. They call us fascists. Could you read that one more time, Stu?
Sure. A political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual. That stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictator, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition.
Okay. You can see why they have to stand on nationalism. Okay? When we say we're proud to be Americans and we hold America high in our esteem, it's not at the expense of the individual. In fact, it's because of the defense of the individual we are nationalistic. Okay? Everything that the Constitution says, everything that, at least that I believe, and I think the vast majority of people that claim to be conservative, they truly are conservative, it's because of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, which is all about the individual. They're about collective salvation. So if you're not a collectivist society or you're not pushing for collectivism, you can't be a communist or a fascist. Can't. So everything they say we're up to, they're doing. And I mean, they said Donald Trump was just killing us overseas and none of our allies had any respect for us. Well, I think I can check that one. They say that we're nothing but religious zealots that would force our religion on children in schools. Who's doing that? We're asking for school choice so the individual can choose if they want that or not. They've come up with this new woke crap and LGBTQ, which is a religion. Religion requires excommunication if you don't go along with the high priests. They demand that you stick to the dogma. There is no questioning of it. Which one has the religion that they're putting in schools? They say that we're going to have a dictator. Well, public-private partnerships, silencing opposition, environmental and social regulations, medical tyranny, we've got that. The right is just in bed with big business. Really? Name the corporation that stands by the right and waves that flag. Name the corporation. It certainly isn't Coors. In bed with big business. That we don't really care about the lives of the poor and the immigrant. And yet, with what they're doing, the immigrant is being used and built by the drug cartels. The women are being raped every day, sold into slavery. We don't care? Don't care about the poor. Really? Is your definition of caring for the poor what's happening in L.A., what's happening in San Francisco? Because I think you don't care for the poor. We're going to make... they're going to throw you back in chains to the African American. Who's doing that? They just want to overthrow the government. Those people on the right, they have no respect for the Constitution. They want to overthrow our system of government. You can't even name our system of government. You keep calling it a democracy. It's a republic. Well, they just want chaos in the streets. We do. You were the one with Chaz in Seattle. You're the one that we're trying to get rid of all of the police and reimagine how we're going to take care of people on the streets. We're the ones that want chaos on the streets. They don't care about national security. You have 10 million people coming across the board. We all know they're terrorists. Yeah, but they don't really care. I mean, they're terrorists themselves, Well, really? I guess if that's true, which it absolutely isn't, at least we're not farming it off to Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran. You support terrorists. You support the terrorists on the streets here in America. They're just going to take away your choice. My body, my choice. Really? Unless it's anything other than an abortion. They just want to make sure that white people get the jobs. Well, you've lowered the standard at the FCC. I'm sorry, the FAA. Lowered the standard at the FAA to the point to where if you're handicapped, black, trans, whatever the flavor of the month is, they don't have to have the same test scores even. They don't even have to test and have the same amount of competence to be an air traffic controller if they're not white. I don't think that's a good idea. Which one is hiring just solely on race? Now here's the last one. We're Nazis. In Florida, they've been banning books. Really? We know that's not true. We know that came from the left. But again, if we know that the left accuses us of things that they are doing, let me give you this. Jim Jordan yesterday revealed internal documents secured via the subpoena of Amazon, highlighting the Biden administration's efforts to address propaganda and misinformation in books for the online retailer. Okay, wait a minute. They say that I'm responsible for misinformation and propaganda. I will correct anything that I get wrong. You show me where I'm wrong, I will correct it. It's not a matter of opinion. It has to be a matter of fact. Show me where I'm wrong. They don't. They can't. I am not for the banning of any voices. I want to make sure everybody, those who disagree with me, they should have a space in society and should be heard. None of this digital ghetto stuff. They say we're burning books or we're banning books, and yet now we have the documents, the effort, reminiscent of the Twitter file. It starts with an email in 2021 from a White House official seeking the opportunity to discuss the high levels of propaganda and misinformation and disinformation of Amazon. Now, why were they so upset with Amazon? Well, because Amazon believed retailers are different than social media communities and provided their customers with access to a variety of viewpoints. For the Biden administration, letting Americans actually read the other side is unacceptable. This is a country that despises Nazism, and yet you can buy Mein Kampf. You can't in Germany. Here you can. You can buy Mein Kampf. You can read Mein Kampf out in the open. It doesn't make you a Nazi. It makes you somebody that wants to understand what happened back then. What was this guy even saying? Without being able to read the insane ramblings, you have no idea what he really was talking about. You have no idea. You can be duped into anything. You can be duped that you know what? The Germans really didn't know. Yes, they did. It's in Mein Kampf. But here, we can't argue about science anymore. You can't have those books for sale online at Amazon. So after the meeting, one staffer asked, is the Biden administration asking us to remove books or just concerned about the search results and order or both? Amazon, after the meeting, moved not to promote books questioning the vaccine. So you're not going to find it. Wow. Who's censoring? Who's burning books? Who's silencing people? And the left will just say, well, that's because it was about the vaccine. Oh, okay. So if you're right, then you're okay with censoring. Because I'm not cool with that. I really would love to hear the other side and how, the Great Reset and all of the things that are coming out from Klaus Schwab, ESG, everything else, how that's not true. I'd like to read those things. I have read those things. Why are you so afraid of someone else? This is just the beginning.